Boker Ora Botai B'Shut Ma'alat Harav. We continue the study of the Taryag Mitzvot, and we have a few mitzvot on hand this morning. First, we have the 435th mitzvah, and that is that anybody that needs to make a shivu'ah, a swear, so he must use Hashem's name when he's making the shivu'ah. It is a positive commandment in Parashat Ekev. The pasuk says, "Ubishmo tishabeya." That's in Perek Yud pasuk Chaf. And the shortish of this mitzvah is that when one uses Hashem's name for a shivu'ah and he keeps his shivu'ah, so that gives him an extra awareness and strengthens his emunah in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that if he attaches Hashem's name, he knows that he cannot break his word, and therefore it gives his emunah a higher level of awareness. Of course, this mitzvah applies in all places, at all times. It applies to male and female alike. Harambam understands that there are certain times that a person is obligated to make a shivu'ah, and when he's obligated, he must use Hashem's name in order to give the shivu'ah power. I should point out that the Ramban argues on Harambam and holds there's never a case where we would say that it's a mitzvah to make a shivu'ah. All the shivu'ot that we're talking about in this pasuk are voluntary, but not mitzvah. We're not talking about shivu'ot in bedin and things like that. We're just talking about general shivu'ot that a person would make. In any event, if somebody transgresses according to Harambam and does not make the shivu'ah with Hashem's name, he has transgressed this positive commandment. The next mitzvah that we discuss is number 436, and that is the mitzvah to destroy any form of avodah zarah and anything that serves avodah zarah. It's a negative commandment. It's the first negative commandment in Parashat Re'eh, and the pasuk says, "Abed te'abedun et kol hamekomot," in Perek Zayin pasuk He. Obviously, Borei Olam does not want to have any remembrance of avodah zarah. That's the biggest avon, and therefore we must root it out and destroy it. This law applies in all places, at all times, male and female alike, when we're able to. Obviously, we're not going to go around today and start destroying avodah zarah. We don't have the power and the legal sense of it. But in the olden days, this would be a mitzvah. And in Israel, there's an added mitzvah that not only do we have to destroy it, if we see it, we have to go search for it and go root it out in order to keep Eretz Yisrael pure from avodah zarah. If somebody transgresses and has the chance to destroy the avodah zarah and he doesn't, he has transgressed this positive commandment of abed te'abedun. Finally, Rabbotai, we will learn the mitzvah of 437, and that is not to erase or destroy anything that is kodesh. And the pasuk says, "Lo ta'asun ken laHashem Elohechem." This is in Perek Yud Bet pasuk Dalet Parashat Re'eh. Let's review. In the last mitzvah, we said we have a mitzvah to destroy and get rid of avodah zarah. Well, whatever we have to do to avodah zarah, we have a reverse law, "Lo ta'asun ken laHashem Elohechem," that we have a mitzvah not to erase or destroy or obliterate anything that has to do with Kodesh. That would include the names of Hashem, that would include Bet HaKnesset, Bet HaMikdash, Mizbeach, and things like that. We have an obligation to make sure that these things are maintained. The shortish of the mitzvah, obviously, is we want to give people fear and reverence of the holy name of Hashem and places that are Kodesh. Now, regarding some of these mitzvot, there are 7 names that Hashem has that it is forbidden from the Torah to Chas v'Shalom erase even one letter of those names. And that would be the Shem Havaya, which is Yud Ke Vav Ke. That would be the Shem Adanut, which is Aleph Daled Nun and Yud. That would be the Shem Kel, Aleph and then Lamed. That would be the Shem Eloah, the Shem Elohim, the Shem Shin Daled and Yud, which they say Shakai, and the Shem of Sebakot. Those 7 names are the holy names that cannot be erased. It should be pointed out that if you have a letter that's written before the name of Hashem, that's called an ot, shenitfal, kodem shem Hashem. For example, let's say you have the name Yud Ke Vav Ke and you have a lamed before it, like it says La Hashem. The lamed you can erase, because the lamed does not get the kedusha of the Yud Ke Vav Ke. Or let's say you have a bet, Ba Hashem. The bet you can erase; it does not affect this isud. However, if you have letters that are written after Hashem's name, since the name of Hashem is written after, the name infuses Kedusha into the suffix, into the final letters, and therefore they become Kadosh like the letter. For example, if let's say you have Elohechem, so the name is Elohechem, the Mem is already attached at the end. That Mem becomes Kadosh and one would not be allowed to erase it. Or for example, the Chaf Sofit of Elohecha. The Chaf is already an extra letter, but since it's written at the end of the word, it's Netfal, the Harab, one is not allowed to erase it. However, if let's say a person started to write Hashem's name, he wrote Shin and Dalet. His kavanah was to add a Yud, but he didn't add the Yud yet. He can erase the Shin and the Dalet because it does not have the Kiddush of Hashem's name until it is actually written. There are certain names of Hashem that are called praises. A praise would be like Rahum, Hanun, Gadol, Gibor, Norah. These words, although they represent a Kadosh Baruch Hu, they are not subject to this Isur, and therefore if one erased for a tzorech, for a purpose, one would not be in transgression. Now all this is talking about where a Jew wrote these names B'Kedusha. However, if a mean is a apikoros, he's a Jew, but he doesn't believe in Torah Sheba'al Peh, he doesn't believe in the tradition, he has bad thoughts, and he writes one of these names, not only is it permissible to erase the name, but the halakha says it's a mitzvah to erase the name, and actually it's a mitzvah to burn the name in order not to give the apikursim and the minim any credence and any viability. It's even to the extent that if a goy writes the name of Hashem, we put it in genizah. But if a mean Yisrael writes the Shem, then already the halakha says it must be destroyed. Obviously, this law applies in all places at all times. It applies to male and female alike. If somebody transgressed and erased even one name of the Shemot, and we mentioned the 7 names, he's Hayav Malkut. And if he erased the letters after the Shem Hashem, according to the Sefer Chinuch, it's interesting, he points out, if you erase the letters after Hashem's name, like we mentioned, it's Malkut, but it's only Midrabanan, the Malkut. It's not Midoraita. And I should point out, the Makot that are Midrabanan do not hurt any less than the Makot, the Oraita. It's just the level that is going to be Hayav. Finally, if a person takes a rock or a stone from the Mizbeach, that's considered also in transgression. A lesson we can learn from this is how careful we have to be when it comes to the Kiddushah of the Beit HaKnesset. People that come to the Beit HaKnesset have to make sure that they don't destroy the Beit HaKnesset or ruin it or Chas v'Shalom do anything that would be disrespectful. Lo ta'asun ken l'Hashem enokem. It's an obligation only to enhance it and to make sure that everything is proper. But if a person, God forbid, violates that Kedusha, although he might not be in contempt of the Deoraita, but clearly he's in contempt of the idea that this mitzvah is trying to convey.